Well, I've got two questions. You can maybe address both or maybe take
Sure.
either one. I'm curious about this era of the in sports media, the Jay-Z not being a businessman, but being a business comma man, and how
Right.
there are all these people, we call them moguls, where they're not only the CEO of their company, but they're the face. That's you with the volume. You see it with Bill Simmons, where he's the face of his company. He's a performer and a CEO. Pat McAfee is another example. Dan Le Batard is another example. I might even be leaving out a few of them. I want to know how difficult that is, number one. And I also want to know, why do you think it's happening? And I don't remember, it's just sort of taken for granted now that there are so many people who are the face and the performer of the thing they're running while they have employees under them.
Well, there's so many platforms now and so many places for on-air or performers or entertainers to go. And so it used to be like an ESPN had all the leverage, but they don't anymore. And so on-air people have equal leverage. In my case, I don't think you ever want to abuse that, but I've got a radio contract. I'm getting my XM Sirius rights here pretty soon. I have a Fox deal. I have the volume. I have a deal with DraftKings. These didn't exist, all these avenues. So and YouTube. And so there's multiple places that a Simmons, a McAfee, whoever can go. And that gives them leverage. And I think it also gives you freedom. I've always had really good corporate relationships. But I've been lucky. My corporate partners understand the game. I'm 60 now. There are certain things I won't do. There are certain things I want to do. And I just think it's, on-air people have more options. It's almost like what happened with the shoe business for NBA players. You used to be an NBA player. And then all of a sudden there were more teams. So there's more opportunities. And then Converse and Nike and Adidas. And now there's secondary revenue streams. And now there's social media. And a basketball player can make 7 figures on Instagram, Nike, his basketball team. He creates a production company or a podcast. And so players now have more leverage. I mean, LeBron James got total leverage over the Lakers, complete, utter, and that's the number one brand in the league. So I think it's a combination of certain people grow a big enough brand that they have more options and more companies coming after them. And I think the way to attain the best people is to allow them some freedom. And I am allowed that at my companies. iHeart, Fox Sports. I have very give and take relationships.
Yeah, it just seems difficult because there's just got to be a lot of emotion and focus put into how am I doing as I perform my show and how is my company doing under me. I mean, is that something that you reflect on? Do you often feel like one is going one way, but the other has other things to attend to, or is it all just second nature at this point?
Well, I gave it a lot of thought, and I looked at, Barstool and Ringer. I looked at a lot of different companies doing this, sports and non-sports. And my takeaway was, because I do a 3-hour show a day and it's pretty exhausting. I don't have a panel. I don't talk to my producers on the air. I don't take calls. I don't have 5 or 6 guests. It's a lot of me, and it works. We have a fast pace. J-Mac is great. My staff's amazing, good production, excellent support. So it works, but it's pretty exhausting. And so when I built the volume, my takeaway was I didn't want to take a salary. We created very quickly multiple revenue streams, and I wanted to build a really, really good management support staff. So it's very easy lifting for me. I have 3 or 4 during the football season. I'll do an hour on Sunday. I'll do Monday Night Football. I'll do an interview on Thursday. I'll do during the season several Saturday hits, 15, 20-minute YouTube hits on the volume. But I set it up so it's a light lift. And I put my money in the first 3 years of the company into management. And it's been very fruitful. Logan Swaim is my CEO. He's remarkable. We just have a really good group all over the country, and it's allowed us to grow very quickly. And it's allowed us this management team allows us to pursue and land a Shannon Sharp, and he's going to need multiple producers and a big support system. And, if I was gobbling up all the salary, we wouldn't be able to do that. So I think I was in a pretty unique position that I could build a company while having two corporate entities paying me. So I can't speak for how everybody else did it. Portnoy was a long road. Dave's, I have a lot of respect for his mission and his performance off air. He really was a grinder for over a decade. Bill Simmons, he's been grinding for years. Grantland, that was a lot of work. So this stuff doesn't come easy. It's really hard. And my theory was build a really strong management team. And I also got very lucky because of COVID. A lot of really talented people were on the beach that companies cut back, and it gave me an opportunity to hire people that would have never been available without a pandemic. But companies cut back, and I'm sitting there thinking, that person's available? I grabbed 8 to 10 people I thought I would have never been able to land. But they were, companies made moves, and people also in the pandemic found out they liked working from home. And that's one of the things I offered. I said, listen, this company and this company won't let you do it. Live in New Hampshire. Do it from home. Work 4 days a week. And that, the pandemic, in a strange way, was the birth of our company. And we were very fortunate that it allowed us to compete for some people we otherwise could not have.
I probably should have mentioned Portnoy and Barstool because that is this gate crashing example of the mogul in the company. Yeah. What did you think looking back on it? This is a random digression I didn't anticipate asking you about Barstool nearly years ago forming a merger with ESPN. I view that as this turning point in sports media where maybe things could have been way different, but ESPN had issues with things Portnoy had said in the past, and it all fell apart right there, and they went their separate ways. What did you think about that?
Well, it's funny. I say this as a compliment. Dana White runs the UFC, but I don't view him as a commissioner. I view him as an entrepreneur. I don't view Dave Portnoy as a broadcaster. I view him as a personality, and I never thought it was a great fit at ESPN. He's most famous for the pizza stuff, which is a great idea. But ESPN's it's a broadcasting company, and so a lot of the top podcasters aren't great broadcasters. What they are is they're good interviewers, excellent performers, attention drawers. They do a really good job of that. Podcasting, it's the wild, wild west. And Joe Rogan had a nice stand-up career, Fear Factor, but he's perfect because he's a bit conspiratorial. He's very, very curious. He's got a great sense of humor. He can talk on multiple subjects. But, is there a broadcasting company per se that you'd put him on and it would be as relevant or as effective? He's perfect for the platform. There's people on TikTok in 90 seconds that are remarkable. I wouldn't be interested in any other platform, but they can perform in 90 seconds. Instagram, all these platforms, everything's different. Twitter is about clever, books are about smart, TV's about a dynamic appearance. Appearance can matter, energy matters on TV, radio's about storytelling. They're all different. Bill Simmons, a brilliant writer, very strong podcaster. I think he'd be the first to admit, television, he was okay, but it probably wasn't ideal for him. Vin Scully, better on radio. Everybody's got a strength. And I think, I digress, but I think going back to Dave, I think Barstool has been built perfectly around what he does best, which is draw attention, be funny, outspoken. And I always thought kind of the broadcasting company, legacy broadcasting, and Dave was going to be an odd fit. I didn't think it would end the way it ended, but there are certain protocols and standards and restrictions and borders on broadcasting companies that Dave's not going to play by.
I'm fascinated by that condition of the medium specificity, how, because we've seen this before where people are a huge hit as a YouTuber. And I think they gave Lily Singh a talk show because she was great on YouTube and it was just this massive disaster. It did not work.
Yeah.
You're very much fit to the medium.